When I say King George II of England, Louis XIV of France, and the king of rock, Elvis himself, what do they all have in common? Constipation, and likely the root cause of some of their deaths. I am joined today by Dr. Keith Currie. Dr. Currie, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thank you, Nicole, for having me.
Okay, admittedly, most people don't think of constipation as something that could be this deadly serious, but Elvis's case and other examples show that it can be. Why does chronic constipation cause such a big problem?
Well, Nicole, constipation isn't just uncomfortable, it can actually become life threatening. When the colon slows down, toxins that should be eliminated get absorbed into the bloodstream, and that increases a person's toxic burden and affects every system in the body. So, Elvis was an extreme case, but as history shows, even kings and royalty weren't immune. Millions of people today silently suffer from constipation, and it's a health risk that should never be ignored.
No, and I appreciate you bringing up this delicate subject for sure, because it can be obviously a very serious subject. It also could potentially increase our risk for cancer. How could that be possible?
Yeah, well, when waste products sit in the colon too long, carcinogenic compounds are released and reabsorbed into the body. This prolonged exposure that increases inflammation, it damages DNA, and it stresses the liver's detoxification pathways. Studies have even shown that chronic constipation is linked to higher risk of colorectal cancer, but it can also raise the toxic burden in ways that affect other hormone-related cancers. The good news is that many of these risks can be reduced by supporting regular elimination, supporting detoxification, and correcting imbalances, whether that's a low fiber diet, chronic dehydration, or disruptions in the gut microbiome. And I explain all of that to my patients that I don't treat diseases with lifestyle modifications and supplementation. While we definitely use those as tools, I always look to find the underlying causes and drivers of why my patients are having those health challenges and help them correct those.
Dr. Curry, before we continue our conversation, could you go over those three risk implications one more time?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Nicole. What it is the first one is low fiber diet. And people look at that and they think, well, I need to eat my vegetables and so on and so on to get fiber. But really, fiber feeds the bacteria in the gut. Okay, those bacteria need fiber to be fed. So people think, oh, I need to do fiber to move things through. Well, it's more that you're doing the fiber to help the bacteria that help you move things through, and you're feeding those bacteria. The second thing would be chronic dehydration, and most people are aware that if you're dehydrated, that you're not going to move fecal material through the digestive tract the way that we would want it to. But then in turn, that also creates more of an opportunity, I should say, for the toxins to get reabsorbed into the body, because most water is reabsorbed in the colon, actually, and so can toxins be reabsorbed in the colon. And then when we look at the gut microbiome, we kind of touched on that a little bit already, but the reality is the gut microbiome has to have a good balance, and you need to feed certain bacteria so that they can do their job. And if there's other opportunistic or pathogenic bacteria that are there, then we need to try to crowd those out with good bacteria so that we can have a good balance.
Thank you for explaining that a little further. Very, very helpful and important in details to remember. Okay, let's move on to risk factors. What are some risk factors might be facing with constipation?
Well, I mean, the reality of it is a low fiber diet, dehydration, lack of exercises, certain medications. Those are common causes. But then those factors like thyroid dysfunction, hormone imbalances, gut microbiome disruptions, these are often missed in routine care, but make a huge difference when corrected.
Okay, and do other health conditions develop when we are facing this condition?
Yes, ma'am. Constipation is often connected to serious comorbidities. We were talking about Elvis earlier. I mean, his colon was twice the size on autopsy of a normal person's colon. And everybody knows that a drug overdose is what killed Elvis, right? But it was the constipation that held that material, because remember, toxins are absorbed in the colon. And so they didn't make it out of Elvis's body. And that's a big part of why he died from that. So yeah, it's linked with colon cancer, diverticulitis, hemorrhoids. It can worsen cardiovascular issues and even insulin resistance. And then in women, constipation can disrupt hormone balance, because these toxins like estrogen get recycled instead of eliminated. So we know like we need estrogen, right? Even men need estrogen, but you can have too much of it building up in your system, and that can really cause a lot of problems, especially during menopause, which is one of the most difficult times in a woman's life. And when so many women are already facing these hormonal difficulties and imbalances, constipation can just make it worse. So it's a whole body issue.
Okay, so you mentioned toxicity earlier. How can this increase people's toxic load or burden?
Well, think of the colon as the body's waste disposal system. When waste sits too long, harmful compounds like ammonia, bile acids, and bacterial byproducts get absorbed or reabsorbed into circulation. And that can lead to fatigue, headaches, brain fog, skin issues, and chronic inflammation. And over time, it adds to the actual aging. The aging process that takes place in our body. Constipation adds to that because of these toxins that are getting reabsorbed. And that's why detoxification is so important for overall health.
Okay, so we touched on the microbiome earlier. How does that play a role in constipation?
Well, the microbiome helps regulate digestion, motility, which is the movement of fecal material through the intestines, and even neurotransmitters like serotonin that control bowel movements. If it's out of balance, constipation can become chronic. And when we restore the microbiome balance, it often improves not just bowel health, but also the mood, energy, and immune function as well.
All right, well, before we wrap it up, I know you have offered a free report for folks at home to download. Let's invite them to do that.
Yes, ma'am. It's they can scan the QR code there on the screen or go to the website areyoutoxic, sick.net. It's a play on the word toxic. And they can download that free report. It's a $27 value and it explains my back to you method.
All right, well, Dr. Currie, interesting conversation. I know a lot of people will appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Okay, well, you don't have to be a king to know that you can suffer from constipation, and some have actually died. Be sure to check out Dr. Currie for better health.